And we are going to move on to our next speaker, Andrew Bartlett. So Andrew, take it away.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nick. All right. First things first, let's get this screen share going here. So my name is Andrew Bartlett. Again, I'm from NITTEC, the Niagara International Transportation Technology Coalition up in Buffalo, New York. First, Ryan and Brent, yeah, thank you so much for everything you guys said. I was logging away ideas. Already I've got to think about a half dozen other things I want to try as soon as we're done here. Um, I think you guys both made some really good points, especially when it comes to data as a methodology for constantly justifying the not only just maybe just your existence as a whole, but also the decisions you make and the things you want to do moving forward. Real quick, just about me, I am the transportation engineer for NITTEC. I've been here for coming up on 10 years now. Really what I want to go through here is I'll spend a little bit of time talking just about what NITTEC is and what we do, and then get into how we use some of the performance metrics to help with that. So NITTEC, there's really kind of two sides of the house. Operationally, we serve as the traffic operations center, the traffic management center for DOT in Western New York. But we also serve as a coalition of transportation agencies here in Western New York and in Southern Ontario, Canada as well. We have 44 stakeholder agencies as of now, ranging from transportation agencies to public safety and border enforcement, and then all the way to emergency services, private tow companies, things like that. And as far as we know, the only binational coalition of this kind in the U.S. and Canada, which I think we'll keep saying until somebody says differently. But so when it comes to performance measures, the really the structure we take is that the information that we're collecting is at the operational level with our operations center, and then the people that we're presenting a lot of this information to are these member agencies. So again, this is just going through the long list of people who make up NITTEC here. A little bit about the organization. So the board of directors of NITTEC is made up of the representatives from the policy member agencies, and then the way that we coordinate with all of these agencies is we're divided up into 8 committees that each focus on a different area of transportation in the region. And these committees are really the customers, so to speak, of the performance metrics that we're coming up with. We try and use those to guide and generate discussion, identify problems, and address hotspots and areas for improvement as far as operations is concerned. We use the committee structure to try and address a lot of different functionality. We try and really do as much as we can as far as incident management, planning for planned events, having documentation of procedures in place for unplanned events, emergencies, special events, and things like that. This is our 24/7 operations center. Again, we serve as the DOT's operations center for this region. And this is where a lot of our performance metrics are starting from. Our operators, we've kind of structured the way that they record information in a way that is kind of built around the TOM performance metrics for things like mobility and incident management. That really serve as the blueprint for, we know that we need them to collect, for example, for incidents, we need them to mark down, here's when the incident started, here's when the first responder arrived on scene, here's when they left, and then continue monitoring until conditions return to normal. And the way that they're able to do that is we're really in command of a suite of the ITS elements and the assets in the region, the cameras, the message signs, and we have plans in place for responding to different types of incidents, who to contact. We serve as kind of a one-stop shop for anybody who's out in the field or for other dispatch centers. You know, that if they're informed of an incident that happens on a road that belongs to a third agency, they don't necessarily need to keep this running list of all these different people to contact at all these different agencies. Everybody knows that they can just contact NITTEC, and NITTEC will act as the intermediary to make sure that everybody who needs to know about something does know about it. So again, just a little bit high level before we get into some of the other performance measures. Again, this is the slide for justifying the operations and the things that we do. 2024, our operations center was the point of contact for 34,000 phone calls. We managed over 10,000 incidents, including 1,500 crashes, 1,200 signal malfunctions, 350 snow and ice events, and 250 border crossing events. Between the US and Canada in this region. So especially those last two are things that are somewhat not unique to our region, but really focal points for things that we experience a lot of. And then the 16,000 either overhead message sign or roadside portable message sign activated in response to traffic events. Again, this is just getting, I'll kind of skip through a few of these slides, but this is just getting into some more of the operations that we do, incident management and construction, and border crossing. This one, I just want to touch briefly. This is one where it's really important that we have the structure that we do, because we're able to coordinate closely with a lot of our partners on the other side of the border and make sure that the strategies we implement, the procedures we have in place, and then the messaging that we present to the public as far as delays crossing the border, if there's incidents, making sure that we're being consistent with that information. And making sure that we're able to coordinate things that are kind of neighboring us as well. And then the big way that we're able to do a lot of this is with the ITS that we have between all the different agencies who own and operate ITS. NITTEC is we're able to tap into a lot of that. We personally don't own any of the equipment that's outside of our four walls. But we operate and track the maintenance for all the different cameras, all the different message signs, and then any of the flashing beacon type signs, things like that. In a way that we're able to do a lot of that, as well as the way that we primarily collect a lot of the information we use for the performance metrics is through our advanced traffic management software. That kind of acts as our central hub for a lot of this. And then one thing that we were able to recently roll out is what we call the All Roads system, is a data platform. And it kind of acts as an ATMS that we're able to grant access to for our member agencies, and allows us to collaboratively work towards managing events and having kind of a regional perspective on what's going on. And then just real quick, the way that we're able to get a lot of this travel or information out to the public is, again, via either the message signs or through our website or our mobile app. We also have a subscriber system where people can sign up with their phone number or email address and put in what roads they travel during what times of day and where they want to get alerts, and those will go right to their phone or email. So now getting into more of the performance measures, very similar to what Brent showed on his slide. We also do an annual report, primarily targeted at kind of our member agencies, and then a little bit beyond that to public officials, things like that. Really just showing everything that went on in our region transportation-wise during the year. And it includes a lot of performance measures. The three kind of areas I wanted to focus on are, again, our operational performance measures, the incident management, and then the mobility, things like travel time. And then the way that we've kind of taken what was provided in the TOM, the Green Book performance measures, and kind of tailored it a little bit to fit our needs here. So for the operations center, the way that we really try and look at this, especially when we're presenting this to the members of our committees, looking at what kinds of events are happening, where should we be focusing our efforts to either try and prevent or respond to these incidents. I mentioned this a little bit before, but the committee participation ranges very widely from some committees. We will have people who are very high up in these agencies, these organizations, they're making higher level decisions. And then other committees will have people who are really first responders, boots on the ground. So for especially those latter ones, working towards being able to what is their minute-to-minute response to events and how can we better manage them. For all types of performance measures, we're always coming up against kind of the restraints of the information that we do or don't have. Again, so for something like this, we really only know about the events that are made available to the TOC. So primarily our expressway network and our primary state roads, we know a lot about what goes on there. But as you get further out to the rural county roads, we don't necessarily know about every minor fender bender or disabled vehicle that happens there. But we try and through our collaborative structure, our member agencies make sure that they know to inform NITTEC as much as possible. So this just goes into a little bit of how we track this. It's we typically do the rolling 3 years of looking at when and where these events are occurring, broken down by the event type. So this is just looking at for the whole region. This first graph is total activity, and then we get into this just a couple example graphs of things like debris on the road, whether it's something that fell off a vehicle or roadkill, things like that, and then disabled vehicles. We do this for all the different types of events that we showed. And then we also look at it on a road by road basis. So for example, this upper to left graph on Interstate I-190 shows both the crashes and then other incidents by month over time. Some of these are more, whenever we see something that sticks out, maybe there's a time of year or a type of event that occurs more or less on a specific roadway, and that usually triggers discussion or measures that we need to take to address certain things. And then this other one again is looking at our message sign activation. We usually see that correlates pretty heavily if we have significant region-wide events, things like winter weather, or if we have major construction events, things like that. As far as the ITS assets in our region go, we for each of our member agencies that owns and has ITS equipment that we are responsible for operating and tracking the status of, we're able to determine average uptime. We're able to identify specific pieces of equipment that have either long-term outages or frequent up and down, and then we're able to at the committee level work with those agencies to focus their either maintenance efforts or their funding for upcoming years on where to allocate that best to address those issues. As far as incident management goes, as we said a little bit before, looking at that incident response, we typically look at it based on the incident severity level as well. We have different goals for different levels of severity for those incidents. So for example, for minor incidents, we're looking to clear them in less than 30 minutes, and for intermediate, less than 2 hours. We're also on the right side of the screen here looking at the timeline breakdown. So the blue is detection, orange is response time, and then and clearance time, and then the red is return to normal. So looking at that, not just by severity level, but by each individual roadway. So again, we're able to identify strengths and weaknesses there. And then at the committee level, we might even get drill it all the way down for a specific roadway for a specific month, looking at maybe 2 or 3 incidents that are really driving up the average. We'll get down to that microscopic level and see what we can do to improve that. And then again, these are not huge numbers because this is just at a regional level, but we do also track the secondary collisions and wrong way driver events as well, since those are both pretty high risk situations. We track those over time, and then we try to identify either specific locations or causes for those. One use case that we really work with a lot is our help team. These are patrol vehicles that drive during rush hour on 2 of our expressways. And we're able to look at how their involvement is able to reduce the clearance time for a lot of events. So like, for example, on Interstate 290, if they're the first on scene, clearance time averages about 30 minutes. If they are involved, but they are a secondary responder, average clearance time is about 40 minutes. This is from last year. And then if they're not involved at all, average clearance time is closer to an hour. So again, if we're talking about justification, this is certainly something that shows the value in a program like this. And then the last section I want to talk about here is the mobility. We are, as far as the TOM performance metrics go for mobility, we focus a lot on travel time and congestion. We're not able to do a lot with things like occupancy, just because we have limited access to continuous count information, even on our expressways. That we're still operating more on like spot count data, but we're able to communicate this a lot to identify problem areas, and that's something that we have really tried to evolve over time. Is the way, not that just we calculate these performance metrics, but how we communicate them. I think for certain audiences, when you start talking about 50th percentile versus 90th percentile travel time, their eyes kind of glaze over. So really working to communicate this information effectively. There's a great segue into talking about 50th and 95th percentile for our roadways. This is from last year, looking at one of our busier segments, especially in the PM peak, looking at that average travel time index and the planning index. Again, looking at this especially over comparing year over year, we're able to use this to identify areas where we want to, especially if we notice something where the travel times are really unreliable, where we have really high spikes in that 95th percentile, seeing if maybe that's caused by, if it's non-recurrent congestion that's caused by a lot of crashes in a specific area. This section in particular is a spot where there's not a shoulder, so any crashes that occur are really going to heavily impact the travel time, even if it's just a minor crash. Congested hours is another thing we look at a lot. This is looking at the number of hours in a day where the travel time is above a certain threshold. I think we usually do if the travel time index is above 1.2. So this is how many hours per day on average. And we'll actually divide that up into morning and afternoon. So for example, this first one where it's 1.12, that's 1.12 hours out of 12 hours in the morning where that section is congested. And we had talked a little bit before about the kind of pre and post COVID. I think that affected basically all of our performance measures, for better or for worse. But really trying to keep that in mind as we go forward. It's been kind of a slow and steady march back towards where we were in 2019. So we try and communicate that here. Like, for example, 2024, this congestion, it's certainly up from 2023 by over 35%, but we're still down 35% from where we were in 2019. So again, just trying to come up with common sense ways to communicate some of these higher level concepts, especially at our incident management committees, things like that, where once if we throw too much math at people, they might not respond well. And then this is the last one I had to talk about. Something that we have tried to take these mobility performance metrics and apply some of the principles to how we're looking at the border crossing delays between the US and Canada. Because this is a specific problem where a lot of times the delay is not the result of a specific incident. It's more correlating the number of vehicles who are trying to cross at a given time with the number of customs agents who are on scene that day. And so if they know that certain days of the week, certain times of the year have more or less delay and more or less volume, they can better plan in the future for how many people they're going to have on staff on a given day. Again, we have there's between the US and Canada here, there are 3 bridges that cross the Niagara River to go from our region into Southern Ontario. And we track both the number of commercial and passenger vehicles, and then we look at the average and peak delay that they experience over the course of a year, over the course of different hours of the day. Pretty consistently, we see the biggest peaks for passenger vehicles to be holiday weekends, especially during the summer. There's a lot of people doing a lot of recreational travel for things like that. But really just trying to stay on top of how this has been evolving, especially coming out of COVID restrictions, how this has been changing over time. But that was all I had. I know that was a lot of information, but hopefully it builds well on what we've been talking about here today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Great presentation. Just a couple questions for you. It looks like you guys had some goals set for your incident management, but are there other performance goals that are set? And if so, like how often do you guys look at that?
Yeah, so we try and keep we have a set of goals for every performance measure that is at least that we consider to be at least somewhat within either our or some of our member agencies' control. Things like the number of crashes that occur is obviously not something that we it might be kind of pointless if we say, oh, we want to have fewer than X number of crashes because we can't control that. But anything like response time or for the ITS equipment, having a % uptime goal, or for anything that we think can drive our behavior towards improving it, or help us measure our own improvement, I think are ones that we try and assign goals to.
Okay. And then you had a really great set of performance impacts. So when NITTEC puts that information out, does that lead to any recommendations, or maybe some of your stakeholder groups, do they look at that and say, okay, this means that we need to make an improvement to a particular facility, or as maybe something is going to be up for rehab? Do they look at those impacts, and does that play into some of their decision making? I mean, obviously you probably don't have direct control over that, but
yeah.
is that
Yep.
something that people look at?
I wish it were as simple as we say this and they say, oh great, let's go do it. But I think that especially with the trust that we've developed with our stakeholders over time, they really take our input with a lot of consideration, especially when we're able to back it up with this data. And the wheels might turn a little slowly, but we definitely do see that they'll prioritize things that we'll talk about, especially when it comes to things like shortening response times or implementing safety or ITS improvements on certain corridors in certain areas.
Another question here. How does the help collect and access clearance time savings?
So even when they are responding to an incident, our operations center is actually the dispatch for them. So just like we would for any other incident, we will catalog the response times and the incident timeline for them. And if anything, we might actually have more accurate information for those incidents because we have it. We 100% of the time we have it directly from the source, from those help operators.
And I know I asked the other panelists this, but I want to ask your thoughts on the TOM and its value, and if other folks are looking for direction or solutions, what are your thoughts on the use of the TOM for performance management?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really, you know, we use it as really the bedrock for a lot of these metrics. It's a great point of reference for if we're trying to think, even if you're trying to go kind of backwards, it's like, okay, this is the problem that we're facing, or this is the thing we want to examine. And so what can we do to monitor where we are now? And if we make changes in the future, how are we able to assess if those changes are making things better? So it's a really good tool for really just planning out that process.
Okay, great. I have two more questions that I'm going to open up to all the panelists. So for Brent and Ryan, as well as Andrew. So one of the questions is, do you sit within the traffic transportation operations data performance? So for example, reporting out performance measures, or is TSMO its own division within your organization?
I'll go first since
Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, we are definitely not large enough to have a separate TSMO. So you know, I sit just on the other side of the wall from the operations center. So we're a pretty close knit group here.
Okay, Ryan.
We're sort of both. So we have our own division of TSMO. We actually have two separate offices for TSMO oriented. So I'm the more real-time operations, systems, and then work zones. And then we have a planning and programming and signals TSMO office. But my office is right behind one of our regional traffic management centers and our STMC, so our statewide traffic management center. So we're close to what's going on the day-to-day operations side of the house.
Okay, great. Right.
Yeah, so we do not have our own TSMO section, something we would like to strive for, but we haven't been able to get there yet. And our group, our ITS and operations group, not really directly manages the dispatch centers, but we work very, very, very closely with them. We develop their software and support their software. So we're very, very in tune with what's going on at that level.
Okay, great. All right, last question for all the panelists. Curious if and how any of the panelists consider or monitor travel conditions for active transportation users. So Andrew, you want to take that first?
Oh,
go ahead.
yeah, there we go. Can you say the question one more time?
Yeah. Do you consider or monitor travel conditions for active transportation users? So bicyclists, pedestrians, that type of thing.
Yeah, so that's something that has been a more recent addition to some of the things that we do. Typically, you know, our operations center is focused on the expressway network and the major state roads. But with our most recent systems deployment with the data platform that we have, we've been incorporating a lot more connected intersection and signal information, and implementing through that both things that the intersections have the technology to detect the ped and bicycles, and then we've been starting to do. We actually just implemented our first transit signal priority corridor in the region. So you know, we're just starting to learn about a lot of incorporating a lot of those performance metrics as well, but nothing concrete yet.
Ryan?
I wish I could say we did, but we really don't. Take into many other modes. We just started to branch out into doing more transit focus. So a dual way of looking at travel times via riding the train into Center City, Philly, or driving, so people can from the park and ride. So we are working on that in a partnership with the Southeastern Transit Agency. So we're Yep, SEPTA. So I just know the audience doesn't know what it is. I didn't want to use the acronym.
No, that's fine.
So yeah,
All right, and how about you, Brent?
Yeah, pretty much the same answer. Bike ped
Right.
pretty much non-existent at the operations level. Different areas tracking different things though. Transit, a little bit more involvement with the integrated corridor and traffic signal management.
Okay, great. All right, well, this brings us to the end of our webinar today. I want to just take this opportunity to thank Ryan, Brent, and Andrew again. Fantastic information. So folks, just stay on the lookout for the follow-up to this. And if you're not signed up with us, feel free to go to the website and check things out and sign up for the newsletter and take a look at our YouTube channel. So appreciate everyone's time today and I hope everybody has a great rest of the day.